When we're dealing with a semi-auto handgun, or blaster as I like to call them, there are three very, very common malfunctions that can occur, whether you're on the range or whether you're in combat. These three can occur. And to start out building our skill sets and keeping in mind the combat mindset, we're going to start out with what we call a Type 1 malfunction. And I want to show you something here. I'm using dummy ammo. Don't know if you can see that or not, but there's no primer in there. There's also no powder in here. It's simply a cartridge casing that's been crimped around a projectile. Keep this in mind. I don't like dummy ammo. I don't like snap caps, if you know what they are. And the reason I don't is because I never want to get those two mixed up. So I keep all my dummy ammo in a separate room. I never ever bring them together. Never will I bring a dummy ammo or a snap cap into the same location as my real ammo. And if you get them mixed up, well, no matter which way it goes, it's not a good thing. So I'm using dummy ammo today. Just wanted to let you know that. Type 1 malfunction is a failure to fire. A failure to fire. We don't know why it's not firing. We press the trigger and it goes click. And it could be several reasons. A broken firing pin, bad thing. Could be a dud round that you just racked into the chamber. It could be a spent round and the casing is still in there, and for some reason it did not extract and eject properly. But there's several reasons it could be. One of the most common reasons is that when you put your magazine into your blaster, it wasn't seated properly. Now we heard a positive click there. You hear that? Yeah, a positive click. I know my magazine is seated properly, but there is times, and I've seen this many a time, and I've dealt with teaching law enforcement, military and civilians, that you put the magazine in there and it doesn't seat properly. When you rack around into the chamber, there's not going to be one. So we're going to assume that the reason this did not fire is because your magazine wasn't seated properly. This is a Type 1 malfunction, a failure to fire. I'm going to go through the steps very slow to start with, and then we're going to see exactly how to do it when you're on the range or in combat. The first thing we want to do is to point in and press the trigger. We hear a click. Nothing happens. We want to tap on the bottom of the magazine to make sure that we get a positive seating in there. Then let's make a little C with our hand here. We're going to grab the serrations on the back of your blaster and we're going to rack the slide. At the same time we rack the slide, we're going to give a little tilt over like this. That's to help in case there is a dud round in there or a spent round. We want to make sure that thing comes out of there, gets out of there quickly and cleanly. So we're going to rack the slide and give it a little flip, just like that. So it's tap, rack, flip, back on sights, back on target. Now I've got a round in there, albeit a dummy round. There we go, just fell on the floor. So, again, an empty chamber, a loaded magazine, a Type 1 malfunction. We're going to point in, press the trigger, we hear the click. We're going to tap, rack, flip, and back on sights, back on target. We want to keep this up at eye level. Again, let me empty this out. There she is. I'll stick that away in my pocket. Now to set this up, if you want to take the time to go through training, is we want an empty chamber, which we do have now, and a loaded magazine. Insert the magazine. We're going to point in. We're going to press, hear the click. At that time, we're going to tap, rack flip, back on sights, back on target. Again, tap, rack flip, back on sights, back on target. Let's do that again. There we had one. I like that. Empty chamber, loaded magazine. I'm going to speed it up a little bit and show you how we should do this. Anytime this occurs to you, whether you're on the range or out plinking, you press the trigger, nothing happens. You hear the click. That's the loudest sound in the world when you're in combat, by the way. Tap, rack flip, back on sights, back on target. Again, empty chamber, loaded magazine, and here we go. Do I have one in there? Indeed I do. Okay, let's do this one more time. Empty chamber, loaded magazine. I'm going to point in, press the trigger, you hear it click, tap, back flip, back on target. There you go. That's a type 1 malfunction. A little tactical advantage you'll have to live with.